Hello, my name is Adriana Marino, and I'm host and producer of Ben Into Balance, powered by The Source. Today, I'm really excited to be accompanied by Nathaniel Perullo, better known as Natty. Natty, thank you for being here. For those who do not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nathaniel Perullo. I am 18 years old and I'm a competitive rock climber here in Bend, Oregon. I compete all over the US and world. Um, yeah, climbing a lot.
How was it that you first discovered climbing?
I was about, I think 7 years old when I was on a hike with my family, and I went out and I saw some people just climbing some boulders, and seemed super cool to me. I was really shy at the time. But my dad was like, "Hey, if you go up to these people and ask them if you can try, you're allowed to go try it." And I was super nervous at the time and didn't like going up to strangers, but I did it anyways because it looked super fun to me. And I got to the top of one of these boulders and like, oh, how do we get him down? So the guy eventually climbed up with me and climbed down with me, figured out how to get me off. And after they were talking to my parents and they told us about the rock gym that was kind of close by.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up going there and I loved it. And I just started going more and more and more. And then I joined a team and it kind of just progressed from there.
Oh, wow. Where was that? Was
It
it
was in Santa Rosa, California.
okay?
The gym was called Vertex.
Got it. And that element that drew you to climbing that first day when you were only 7 years old, does that still, ring true today at 18?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially as it's progressed, I mean, I knew nothing about competing when I was younger, and I feel like that alone kinda like, the adrenaline rush from all that kinda draws me in a lot, and I don't know, I find it super fulfilling to have this huge goal that you have and, you finally accomplish it, so I think that's what keeps drawing me back.
Yeah. And so it's been what, then 11 years?
11 years, yeah.
And how has your journey evolved over those 11 years,
Yeah,
looking
I
back?
think I started competing when I was around 8 years old. I did these things called YCLs, which were just youth climbing leagues just in the Bay Area. There was a bunch of season, and then they announced the winner at the end, and I got second at my first one, and then I think I won my second year. And then I kinda started getting into USA climbing through that. My first year, I made divisionals, so it goes regionals, divisionals, and nationals. My first year, I made divisionals, didn't quite make nationals, and then came back the year after that and made my first nationals, which was, I mean, one of the most incredible experiences, kinda what really, uh, kept drawing me in.
Wow, how old were you then in your
I
first
think I was
nationals?
9 years old at my first
Oh,
nationals.
wow.
And yeah, I placed 10th that year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so then just kept progressing over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you really realized very early on that you could compete on a national level.
Yeah, there's definitely some very good stepping stones with that where they have it for the youth,
Mhm.
um, to where, obviously you're competing against kids your same age, so it's a little less competitive to where you're not competing against like 18-year-olds at 9 years old. So,
Sure.
um, yeah, it's definitely some great stepping stones into it, and I feel like especially with the climbing community, it really um, everyone's super friendly, so it's super easy to make friends, and I'll see all my friends that I've known since I'm 9 years old at nationals every year.
Sure.
So it's super cool like that.
Yeah. And given the fact that you started competing at such a young age, has the element of fun always still remained with you?
Yeah, there's definitely been seasons where I'm not as psyched to be competing. I always love it, but sometimes I'll have like a couple bad results in a row and like, okay, I'm in a little bit of a slump now and it's not quite as fun and I'm not enjoying myself as much, but I mean, I think that comes with any competitions.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, but I feel like for the most part, I've enjoyed it throughout my
Yeah.
11 years. There's never been a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit. Um, yeah, and always with climbing, like, if you don't wanna compete, you can always just go climb outside, and it's, a lot of my after some big events, I'll go climb outside or take 2 weeks off just because it's so much training.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about like the climbs that you do indoors? Because that's your specialty,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So yeah, I do currently, I'm now mainly bouldering. I do also I do also compete in lead. Um, but this year I haven't been as psyched on lead training, so I've kind of switched off to boulders. I'm still going to nationals for both, but I'm more focused on boulders this year. And I feel like mainly throughout my career I've performed better in boulders. Um, but I have also performed pretty well in a lot of my lead comps.
For those of us who might be listening to the podcast who are not so familiar with, the world in which you move and compete, can you tell us more what bouldering consists of and also leading?
Yeah. So a boulder is traditionally, shorter route. Um, and it's for the comp walls at least, I think they're around 15 feet tall, 15 to 20 feet tall. And they're normally short, powerful, dynamic movements. Sometimes, they're static and slow if it's a slab route, but um, whereas lead routes is normally on, a 55 to 65-foot wall. And they're a lot longer. Your forearms get a lot more pumped during it. So that's one of the more challenges with lead climbing versus bouldering. Bouldering is more powerful.
Mhm.
You're not going to get as pumped on a boulder, but with lead route, it's more sustained endurance that you need. So it's two different types of training that you'll need to do for it. Um, and this year, I feel like I've been more powerful, so that's why I'm kind of focusing on bouldering.
Okay.
Um,
You mentioned training. What does your training look like, Natty, and how has that kind of also changed with time? And if you can talk about, like, elements of nutrition and sleep, like what does your week look like?
yeah, so when I was younger, it was definitely a lot less. I'd go in the gym, climb 4 or 5 days a week. It was super fun. I wouldn't when you're younger, you don't need to be lifting a lot of weights to get strong. You're not getting big when you're 9 years old. So
Sure.
I think that a lot of my training was just climbing, and, that really lays a foundation for your technique and all that when you get older, which is going to be super helpful. So yeah, when I was younger, wasn't really lifting. It was only when I started to get around like 15 years old that I started to really start lifting, doing weighted stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I kind of started getting a lot stronger. Um, but, while balancing still like the technique, because that's a huge part of it. And then nowadays I train 6 days a week. During the school year, I'll go, to school from 8 a.m. to 3:45, whatever. Go to the gym, get to the gym at 4, and then end at 9
Oh,
most
wow.
days. Yeah, so it's around 5 hours after school that I'll be training. And that's 6 days a week. And on the weekend, I'll do sometimes a double session where I'll train in the morning and then stop for lunch and then train at night. Um, so yeah, that's mainly my training during the school year. It's quite a bit. Um, yeah, I think it's around, 30 hours a week.
It's like a full-time job.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
then yeah, sometimes 35, but and then during the summer, I'm kind of gearing up for nationals, so I'm dropping my intensity and my how long my sessions are. So I don't want to be super tired before nationals.
Sure.
I'm leaving in about 6 days for it. So yeah, I'm definitely dropping the intensity. I'm not getting any stronger between now and nationals, so I'm really focusing on my technique
Mhm.
and my execution on a lot of the boulders.
Okay. Talking about technique, I've read that, like, sometimes bouldering, climbing is compared to this like this chess game, physical
Yeah.
chess. Like, can you get us in the mindset of a climber? Like, how much of this is physical? How much is mental? I'm sure it's a balance of both, but
Yeah.
what's going through your mind when you're facing a challenge you've never done?
I mean, for everyone, it's a little different. I mean, I'll start off with kind of how I look at a boulder. When
Hmm.
I turn around in comp, I have 5 minutes to, I guess, get to the top of this boulder, and I'll look at it. I'll brush off like all the extra chalk on it, kind of also feeling the holds with the brush. And I'm kind of mapping out the way I want to do it. Like, oh, my right hand goes on this hold, my left hand goes on this one, my left foot goes here, and I got to jump to this hold. So it's kind of mapping it out. And sometimes the boulders are super difficult to read and it's kind of confusing. So you have to really know what like you're looking for and kind of where you want your hands and how you're gonna be able to execute this move with the most efficiency. So I feel like that's a huge aspect of the comp climbing. And then with the mental part, kind of being I try to every single boulder, no matter if I mean sometimes if I top the first boulder, I'll be like super energetic for the round, but I kind of try to throw every last boulder out of my mind. Like if I did super bad on a boulder, kind of try to get that out of my mind so I'm not focused on, oh, I'm gonna lose because I didn't top this boulder or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna help you. You're not gonna be able to change your result on that first boulder. So I feel like having the mental capacity to just push that out of your head is super important, especially for me. I'll do a lot of meditation before my comps too. I'll breathe, visualize, sometimes even dream about them. So last year, I remember I'd never topped a lead route at nationals. I topped my nationals finals route, which is the best you can do on it. And I had this reoccurring dream that it was going to be this yellow dish hold, and I went out for the preview. It was a yellow dish hold, and I topped it. And I had this reoccurring dream that I was going to top it.
Oh,
That was
wow.
definitely the kind of the weirdest things I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like I went back to in isolation with my coaches, and I was like, I've been having this reoccurring dream, like I'm gonna top this route, and I went out and topped it, and it was definitely like the craziest experience I've ever had. So I think a lot of the visualization is super important for me.
Yeah.
I visualize all my rounds, all my, you know, possibilities. I see myself winning, losing, doing not as well as I want to.
Uh-huh.
And, I try to be okay with those results. Sometimes it's really hard if you have a bad result that you were expecting a lot better one. So I
Sure.
just kind of try to prepare myself for anything. Yeah, that's the main visualization. I think for me, the strength versus like
Mental?
mental
Mhm.
is super important. I think it's probably at least 25% mental for me. I think a lot of, I have the strength for a lot of the boulders, but a lot of the time my mental, it's not quite as good as I would like it. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time it prevents me from succeeding in certain ways. So yeah, I think that's super important. It's the mental aspect. I see.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, in those cases, which have been many,
Yeah.
where your mental capacity has led you, to achieve what you want, like what strengths are you drawing on to make that mental game so successful? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the strengths I would say, I mean, going with my last nationals, I was in my boulder round and I topped my first boulder, and I kind of, you know, got this rush of adrenaline, and I was like, okay, yeah, I got this, I got this. And I just kind of played on that good like rush. Carry it through to all the other boulders.
Yeah.
And no one had topped the third boulder, and after I'd topped that third boulder, the crowd was like super loud. I was like, okay, wow, I'm in first right now. I'm winning.
Wow.
And you never know how well your competitors are doing, but you kind of tell by the crowd. So
Okay.
after my first boulder, I think a couple people had topped it. I topped it too. And, crowd was like mild. And then second boulder, only one person had topped it. Got a little bit louder. Then I topped the third boulder and the crowd was like super loud. So I kind of knew that, I'm doing really well. And I kind of carried that throughout my entire round. And I think that was definitely super important for
Uh-huh.
the result that I ended up
Yeah.
getting.
What happens when you're in a comp, Natty, and fear comes in your mind, self-doubt, like you're not so sure of yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you move through that?
Yeah. See, I'm kind of bad with that, especially, you know, this year it's been especially hard for me because last year I completed not all my goals, but, this huge goal I had of mine was to win nationals. And, I finally did it. And this year I've been like, okay, where do I start now? Like, of course I'd love to win again, but, what's my next big goal? And I'd spent, you know, 11 years working on that goal, and it finally happened, and I was like, "Whoa, okay. This is, like, crazy, and I don't know where to start again."
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it this year has
Uh-huh.
been, like, I've had a couple bad results, like, I went to Pan Ams, and I didn't, perform as well as I expected, and, maybe I think it was a little bit of a lack of training. I'd complete this one goal, and all I wanted to do was kind of enjoy it, and right after I'd done that, I got the notice that I was right after I finished competing at Worlds. I was like, I got the message, and they were like, "Oh, you have a Pan Am start, so you got to be in Colombia." And I was like, "Okay, I want to do this for sure," but it was definitely hard leading up for like the month and a half of training I had,
Mhm.
um, to kind of get ready to gear up to compete in both disciplines again. And it was definitely a mental struggle. And then I didn't perform so well in boulders. And I think that was just like a lot of pressure for me that I was putting on myself to perform at, this is the first time I'd ever done Pan Ams. I had just, I guess, gone to a bigger comp, but I wasn't in the mindset that I was ready to compete at that level again.
Yeah.
And I think that that definitely taxed a lot on my mental, um, you know, and going, into this last Open Nationals, it kind of carried through that Pan Am's result. So I've been working through that to get back in a good headspace, and I think I finally have,
Mhm.
gearing up for nationals in a couple days. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to try that out.
That's exciting. What did that experience teach you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I almost underestimated how hard it was going to be. I was like, okay, you know, traditionally at Worlds, I had beaten a lot of the countries that were gonna be here. I think I beaten every single country that was gonna be at Pan Am's. It was in different category, but still, I didn't I underestimated the level of the competition,
Mhm.
and I think I went in with a bit of, like, an ego almost like, "Okay, I'm gonna make finals in this."
Got it.
And I think that was definitely a big downfall for me. So I was kinda not mentally prepared for how hard the boulders were gonna be. And I think that was definitely, you know, um, definitely huge impact on my performance. I was also after this one really good World Cup climber that he topped every single I would go out, I wouldn't top a boulder. He topped he did that every single boulder. He ended up winning the round.
Okay.
I think that was a huge, dent in my mental game. I would just come back from boulder, just get hosed on it, and then I'd hear him top it immediately. Just be like, what am I doing wrong? And
Mhm.
I think it just like I was unable to push out that last boulder from
Yeah.
every single round, and I think it kind of just greatly impacted my performance. And yeah, after that, I was kind of just like, whoa, maybe I'm not ready for this, but I kept my training up, and
Mhm.
I've tried my best to get out of that, and I think I have for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really interested by what you said earlier about visualization and meditation
Mhm.
and just that mental aspect,
Yeah.
how you train yourself before you actually start climbing.
Yeah.
So when you are standing below your challenge,
Yeah.
do you look at the boulder?
Yeah. I map out, every possible way I could do this boulder. Like, oh, could I put my left hand on this hold? No, that won't work because I have to go right hand to this next one, or I have to go left hand to this next one. So I can't have my left hand on this hold. It's kind of just mapping out the most efficient way you could
Sure.
possibly do it.
Uh-huh.
And I think that that's super important, especially with like wasting attempts. You do the wrong, it's called beta. So if you do the wrong beta the first attempt and you have your wrong hand on the wrong hold and you can't move it, you fall and you wasted that attempt. So I think getting that beta the right way the first time is super crucial to your attempts.
That's fascinating. So that means that like you, you can just study a boulder. I'm just trying to imagine this.
Yeah.
And you're able to map it out.
Yeah,
And
I
so
kind
you
of
know,
move my hands to where like, okay, this is a start hold, this is a first hold, this is a second hold, and I kind of um put my hands where I think it's gonna be. And I kind of try to feel like a lot of the times because I've been young this so long, I know what the holds are gonna feel like. And
okay.
sometimes at a comp, they'll bring out some brand new holds that I've never been in a comp or in a gym.
Yeah.
It'll be super weird. I don't know where to grab them. I don't know what they feel like. So that's definitely super hard sometimes. But a lot of the time, I felt these holds and I know where to grab them. I know where the good spots are.
Yeah.
And so I know what hand I want, what they're going to feel like when I'm up there already.
Yeah. Wow. It must be fascinating, just that process.
Yeah.
So you know exactly in your mind what you're gonna do when you
Yeah.
physically get up there.
Yeah. And then obviously sometimes, I'll get it wrong. It'll be a super complex boulder and be like, oh, I need my left hand here where I needed my right hand here. And I'll fall and that'll be an attempt, you
Okay.
know? But then normally after I do that, I'll feel like, oh, that's not working. So I'll switch up
Yeah.
um, my beta and, it'll be a better attempt next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're not climbing, Natty, how much are you thinking about climbing?
All the time. Yeah. Before I go to bed, even
Uh-huh.
the last like 2 months, I've been only thinking about nationals before I go to bed. I'm like, that's the last thought and it's the first thought in the morning. Oh,
Really?
trainer, like, yeah, wow. Even in class, sometimes I'll like doze off and I'm just thinking about climbing. I'm thinking about what it's gonna look like, what my round's gonna look like, how I want to feel after my round, and it's constant. I'll dream about it most nights,
Wow.
and it's a huge part of my life, and I feel like that's to be good at something, you got to be obsessed with it. So I think that the reason I have had a lot of success in this is because I'm so obsessed with, you know, um, thinking about every little detail about a comp. You know, even I've been thinking about this national since, you know, 2 months after last national. So the last 10 months, I've been just thinking about what this comp is going to look like. And I'm
Mhm.
mentally prepared myself for pretty much every outcome. So I think I'm, you know, mentally ready for it.
For sure. Yeah. Um, how do you manage? I mean, adolescence and youth is already difficult. There's inherent changes going on and just like, the social aspect, the academic aspect. You just graduated from, Cascades Academy, a private school here in Bend that's demanding. Like, how do you find that balance between academics, your social life, and this, and your athletic performance, which is just, 30 fights, like such a great demand on you.
Yeah.
Although I know that you love it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do you do this?
It's definitely hard a lot of nights, where I'll have some homework or something and like, do I do it or do I wake up really early and do it? Or do I, can I find a free period that I can do my homework? But I think with school, it's not super hard for me to balance the school. I have a couple free periods that I'll try to get all my work done in just so I don't have to do it outside of school because, I'm training till 9 p.m. and then I'm pretty tired. Just
Yeah.
come home, eat dinner, and go straight to bed, or take a shower and then go to bed. So I don't really have a lot of time if I want to wake up on time, at 7 o'clock in the morning for school. And, I need to get my sleep. So I think that's super, not super difficult,
Hmm.
um, to do, but the social aspect for sure, where it's like, oh, there's, parties happening this night, or anything. And, like, obviously I can't drink or do anything because of my, climbing,
Yeah.
if you're going to be this high level and an athlete, you can't be doing all that.
Right.
Can't be staying out till 1 in the morning and, going to parties. So I think that the social aspect's definitely really hard for me, especially, training so much like on the school nights. Um, I have one night off as Tuesday night and, nothing's going on Tuesday nights. So sometimes I'll hang out with friends or whatever, but, it's mainly just like, you know, climbing. That's it. And,
Yeah.
I go alone to the gym. I train, most nights and, it's definitely lonely sometimes. Like I'll find myself, missing all my friends and, what are they doing tonight? Oh, they're at this party. I'm in bed by 10 p.m. I'm
Hmm.
not going out and drinking. And, it's definitely hard, with that. And, the social life is definitely it's mentally hard.
Yeah.
Just like, I love hanging out with my friends all the
Sure.
time. And, as much as I'd love to be doing that, it's just not worth it to me to give up something that I've worked so hard on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's the social aspect's probably the hardest for me.
That makes sense.
Um, I'll always get texts from our friends. Oh, I haven't seen you in weeks. Where are you? What have you got up to?
Yeah.
And, I'll try to make a day on the weekend or something to hang out with them. But it's just, yeah, definitely hard during the school year where I'm going to school all day and, I'll see some friends there, but I have a bunch of other friends that, I will also want to see. So it's super hard with that. Most time it gets a lot better in the summer though, to
Sure.
where I can, train at, you know, go to the gym at 8 in the morning, be done by 1, and then I'll have the rest of the day, um, to
To
hang out
hang
with
out. Yeah.
friends. Yeah, go down to the river, do whatever.
Sure. Over these last 11 years that you've been competing and training so hard, Natty, has there ever been a moment that you thought, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I don't want to do this anymore. This is too much of a sacrifice. I mean,
I mean, there's always been, thoughts of that. I've never seriously considered quitting.
yeah.
But, there's been thoughts about, oh, maybe I'm not ready for this, or maybe I should take a break. Maybe I should take a few months off. But I know if I take a year off, then I'm going to come back and it's going to be the same problem where, I take a year off and I have to get strong again. I have to figure out all the new movement. Like climbing progresses in this way where, you know, 1 year will be super dynamic and I'll be on top of that. And then if I took a year off, all of a sudden it's super like powerful and I'm not ready for that. And I haven't done that style in a while.
Yeah.
And I think if you take time off, it's definitely hard to get back. Obviously, it's still possible. But I think for me, um, a lot of my drive is where, if I'm doing well in a comp, I want to keep going here. If I have a bad season, I know if I take a season off and I come back, I'm just going to have another maybe bad season. It's just
Hmm.
going to keep this cycle. So I kind of just try to train myself out of these cycles.
Yeah.
I'll have a bad season where I won't, do super well. And, I'll train like, for example, I think it was 2024 nationals. I didn't make it for boulders, and that was the first time I'd ever not made a nationals. And well, besides my first year ever competing, and that was like I went in divisionals, so I went into qualifying. I won qualifying, and then I got seventh in the final, and I was like shocked. I'd never had such a bad performance,
Uh-huh.
and I trained super hard after that. I was like, that was the only thing. I like didn't hang out with friends for months after that. I was just like training, 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 just for all through end of sophomore year. And then I did lead nationals. I'd broken fingers then, so there was a little bit of like okay, maybe shouldn't have been competing. I broke both my middle fingers. I ruptured my pulley in my right one and fractured my growth plate in my left because I was overtraining and I was growing still.
Oh, wow.
But I still decided to compete on that, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons I didn't make nationals that year.
Yeah.
But I wasn't willing to accept that my injury was a reason that I didn't make it to nationals. So I trained and I was in the. I mean, I still got a national medal for lead, but I trained all throughout the end of my sophomore year and then junior year. I was only training. It was just like definitely stressful, but I was hanging out with friends a lot less. That was my only focus. I had like, I don't know, I had no other desire other than to train and, get back to where I was. And I think that's one of the reasons I won nationals last year. It's like coming off of a year where you don't make nationals in Boulder and then you win that discipline is definitely shows how
Yeah.
hard I was training that
I can
year.
tell. Yeah.
So yeah, it was basically the only thing I was thinking about all year. So yeah, it was definitely those bad results definitely have um
Motivated.
yeah, motivated me a lot. I'm really motivated by the bad results. A lot of my best seasons have come after my worst results. So
Wow.
um yeah, that's why it's been really hard this year for my training. Like I've obviously still been training hard, but um, you know, I completed my goal. I won nationals and, I was like, okay, well, this is like my big goal and I've done it. I want to enjoy it. But at the same time, I still want to train and win again. So I think it's definitely been a little bit harder with training this year, getting the motivation to be like, what do I want to complete next? What do I want to do? And,
Yeah.
I finally, these last few months, I finally gained my motivation again. I'm like, okay, I want to train. I want to train. I want to train. And then, you know, and now I'm like, okay, I'm going to Worlds this year. Let's have a goal for that. So I think that, yeah, that has definitely motivated me this year.
Yeah. Hearing you speak, Natty, I'm so impressed by like this. I can tell just by listening to you that this motivation is all coming within. It's not coaches, it's not your parents. Am I wrong? Or is it all intrinsic?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, pretty much all internal. Um, you know, my coaches have never been like, you're doing this, you have to win nationals this year, you have to go win worlds, or, you have to podium at worlds, something like that. My coaches have always asked me, what do you want to do? What is your goal? And, my coach Mike, he told me this a few weeks ago. He was like, when I was 14, was the first time he heard me vocalize my goals, and I was like, I want to do World Cup starts. I want all of these opportunities, and he's like, okay, I'll help you get there. And he's never been, you know, hard on me with, you know, oh, you have to do this, or I want you to do this, get this result at this comp. He's never done that. It's always been internal for me, and same with my parents. Obviously they want me to win. They want me to, win nationals, win worlds, all that. But they've never been like, you have to do this or you're not climbing next year. There's never been that pressure of um, having someone else decide where I need to be. So I
Yeah.
think that's been super important. It's been I mean, I'm the only one that has control over whether I train hard or not. And, obviously, my parents are like, oh, if you're gonna be there, you might as well train.
Right.
And there's that, but they're not like housing me like, did you train this hard today? It's not like that. So I think that's been super helpful for me. And, all my motivation comes within. I don't need that external motivation. So
It doesn't sound
yeah.
like it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Where does this grit and this resilience come from, Natty? Like, where do you think you got this from?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just because I grew up doing this since I was 8 years old. I think it's all I really know. And I mean, not all I know, but, I've been going to nationals since I was 8 years old. And um, I think it's, you know, I mean, year after year, it's just addicting. I want a better result. I want a better result every single year. And I think it's just like, I'm just I was like almost born to just train for this and, do this result. Obviously, I have other goals in life after climbing and when I have to retire, but, um, it's just been such a huge part of my life that I don't want to stop it. I've had so many good or great opportunities from it. I've seen a lot of places I maybe wouldn't have seen because,
Yeah.
I was in climbing, like, I competed. I was in Europe. I went to Finland and, Estonia, Sweden,
Colombia.
Colombia, yeah. I've been to all these awesome places because where climate's taking me. And,
Hmm.
I think I can see it continuing to do that, especially, next year where I'm going to try and, do some World Cups and stuff where, I'm going to China, Korea, Italy. I'm going to Italy this summer to compete. And I think it's, super rewarding to be able to go all these places. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, I see all these things I'm doing like, whoa, this is cool.
Huh, you're only 18 and look at
Yeah.
everything you've already done.
Hmm.
Yeah. What do you think are the biggest lessons that climbing has taught you in your life and that you'll carry with you, whether you're climbing or not, at whatever age?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my discipline has um carried over into pretty much every aspect of my life. Um like I mean, just being in the gym for that many hours a day, it takes a lot of mental strength to, especially like a lot of my, I think maybe four of my 6 sessions are alone. So I'm just in the gym alone, just training myself. Or, I mean, I have my training plan, but I'm doing all the activities myself. And, sometimes it's super hard to, okay, no one's watching right now, but I'm still going to do this. And
Yeah.
no one's going to judge me if I don't. I still do it anyways because, I know I see the results and I know they're helping me. So I think that has been probably one of the biggest things. Definitely like mental resilience. Try, I mean, it's not, climbing's not a very forgiving sport mentally. Um, you can go from, winning nationals to being 10th.
Yeah.
Um, so it's definitely, nothing's ever guaranteed. And I think that's the case for a lot of sports. Um, but I think there's so much variability with the climbs if they suit you or not, to where, someone that's shorter will have an advantage or taller will have an advantage. Um, so I think that the mental strength of being able to deal with that has carried through a lot of my things, especially um, my patience
Hmm.
um, with, trusting the process. So I think a lot of, yeah, patience and mental resilience has also carried through to other aspects of my life.
Yeah. A little bit ago, you mentioned your coach, Mike.
Hmm.
What role have mentors and coaches played in your life? And
Yeah. So,
if you want to mention any that are in band, I don't know.
yeah, I'd love to. So, yeah, first coach, I was, I mean, at Vertex in Santa Rosa, I don't even remember names. I was on just like a development team
Yeah.
there. And, I mean, the coach, it was just like, having the kids climb or whatever. There was no like focused training on that. And that's kind of very good for getting me into it, getting me psyched. I think if you train a kid, at 8 years old when he's just starting or 7 years old when he's just starting, I think that can definitely push someone away because that level of training is super hard to deal with. And I've kind of gained the mental strength to do that year over year. And, I didn't start doing 6 hour or 5 hour sessions 6 days a week. I started with smaller sessions, like, maybe I go 2, 3 times a week, climb for a couple hours. But then I moved to I moved gyms to San Francisco, and I coached Jesse there, and he was super helpful. It was Jesse and Mark were my coaches there, and they were super helpful. With them, I won my first national medal. I think I was 9 years old, and I was getting definitely some more training. They were talking more about strength training. I remember my coach Mark was my strength trainer, and he obviously wouldn't have a 9-year-old or 8-year-old lifting weights, but I was, he was doing like core on the bar with me, pull ups,
Mhm.
stuff like that, to where I'm getting that strength up, but it's not super taxing on my muscles. Like if you train a kid that young, he's gonna have problems when he's older. So I think that they helped a lot with that. And then I was only with them for a year, and then we moved here to Bend, and my coach Mike, when I was 9 years old, took me in, and I've been training with Mike since I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
I'm super close with him. I talked to him about almost every comp, even when he wasn't at my comps. Like sometimes he doesn't travel
Uh-huh.
to some comps with me. So in Colombia and Finland, when I was competing, I would call him, and I would talk to him about my rounds. I go through them with him, go through my mental with him, and he's been super helpful through all that. And I'm super close with him, as I said. So I think that he's been such a good coach for me, and definitely helped me a lot with all my results. Especially when I was first vocalizing my goals when I was started to turn like around 14. It's like, okay, let's help you get there. And I mean, helped me every step of the way, been with me. He's seen my worst results at, comps, and he's been with there for my best results.
Mhm.
He was like one of the first persons after I won nationals. I was just like streaming tears. It was like, I went over and hugged him, and it was like, I
Aw.
talked to him, and that was one of my like favorite memories with him. So
Aw, that's
I think
beautiful.
that,
He
he's
must have been
definitely,
so proud of
yeah,
you.
he's definitely like one of the closest people in my life, and I respect him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been with me there pretty much every step of the way.
And what's it gonna look like next tell us about your plans. I mean, you're going off to college?
Yeah, I'm going off to Utah on scholarship for climbing, and yeah, I'm planning on training a lot there. Hopefully having a shot at Olympics and stuff. That's the main reason I'm going is, that's my next huge goal is to make Olympics, and Um, I would love to do that. So I think that Utah right now has the greatest climbing community.
Mhm.
All the strongest climbers, everyone on the U.S. team, all my friends are there. So I think just training with such strong people all the time is super helpful I mean, surround yourself with people that are, better on this style, or, maybe I'm better on this route, but they're better on this one. And, gaining from each other, is super impactful. And Salt Lake has a lot of that. The U.S. training centers there, so I'll be training there a lot. And that's where, I mean, the entire U.S. team trains pretty much.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that surrounding yourself with those people, and you'll get super good super fast.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
hmm Yeah. So and then also I'm gonna study in Utah. I'm gonna get my EMT and paramedic, and try and do paramedic firefighting for when I'm older. When I'm done with climbing.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think that also having, I also have goals outside of climbing to where, it's just not my entire life.
Yeah.
I love climbing, and right now it's my life, but in the future it's not going to be sustainable for me when I have to retire when I'm, 26 or 28. So I'm thinking about the future too there. So I'm going to college, getting my paramedic, and I'm either going to go into paramedic firefighting, hopefully, or I don't know. I might try and go into med. I'm not sure if I want to spend that many years in school. So I'm still
Okay.
deciding.
Yeah, you're still young.
Yeah,
The future's very yeah. That's amazing. And what are the next comps that you have coming up, Natty?
I have nationals in about a week.
That's it where?
It's in Salt Lake. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll drive to Salt Lake in about 6 days, and then compete. I have my orientation the day before. So I
Uh-huh.
gotta go get orientated at Utah.
You mean your college orientation then?
Yeah,
Oh
the
gosh.
whole day, and then gotta compete the next day.
Okay.
That'll be fun. And then I'm heading to Italy, Arco, Italy, for Worlds, and yeah, super excited for that. And yeah, so that's pretty much the near future, and we'll see about Pan Ams and stuff this year. Everything depends on my results from nationals. So
Okay.
yeah, I gotta see how I do at nationals before all that. But yeah, hopefully I think Pan Am's is in, I want to say Brazil or Chile this year. So
Hmm.
hopefully that'll be another cool one for me. But you never know.
Yeah. Um, Going back to that, band, what was it like? How has growing up and training in a place like band been positive for you?
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, we have some pretty good gyms here, and then especially these last couple years, my team, Ben Endurance Academy, created this training facility, and they've been setting personalized routes and like stimulation comp rounds for me.
Uh-huh.
And that's been super crucial to my training. And that's some things that a lot of gyms around can't do, like commercial gyms. They can't set these routes where it takes up an entire wall. And, you having a bunch of, I guess it's considered dangerous movement or whatever. And, you can't be jumping in between holds, especially with people like little kids running around the gym and stuff. And,
Sure.
fear of landing on them or stuff like that. So I think that that has been super important to my training. Um, and yeah, so they've been able to set routes for me, do all these
That's
personalized
amazing.
training. And then I also go to Colorado from time to time, and I train with my coaches Alex and Robin there. They have mostly my strength training plans. My coach Mike here is more mental, and he supports me through all that and goes to all the comps with me. But
Hmm.
um, my coaches Robin and Alex in Colorado have a lot to do with my training plans, and I'll go there to also get personalized help on a lot of there's like just more access to climbs in Colorado. We have a couple gyms here, but I tend to feel like commercial gyms, I mean, they don't set hard enough.
Yeah,
I'll normally have cleared out the entire gym, done every single route. So I think that just being able to travel to Colorado and go train with my coaches Robin and Alex, especially when they definitely set a lot harder in Colorado. Like the level there is definitely a bit higher. There's a lot more pros in Colorado that the gyms need to set for. So the
sure.
commercial gyms will end up setting, B13 and B14 in the gym. And I think that that is super helpful to go and be able to go for a couple days and just train with my coaches there.
Yeah. Given that Bend is small, the community is smaller, and I imagine that a lot of young climbers in Bend know of your success.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going into the gym sometimes, people come up and talk to me or, when someone asked for a photo the other day
Oh,
or an
really?
autograph or something,
Uh-huh.
you
That's
know.
cute. Yeah.
Um,
How do you feel when that happens?
it's definitely like when someone first asked me for my autograph, I was wearing I traded one of my US team jerseys for the French team jersey,
Hmm.
and I thought they thought I was on the French team or something, and like, I was like, they came up to me like, "Hey, will you sign my chalk bag?" And I was like, "Are you sure?" And they were like, "Yeah, you're Nathaniel Perullo, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," but that was the first time anyone had ever recognized me.
Uh-huh.
And, obviously, I guess at where I was in Pan Ams and stuff, I signed other stuff, but that was the first time someone had ever come up to me in the gym and,
Here in Bend.
"Hey, yeah, hey, will you sign my thing?" And, people ask for photos or autographs sometimes. It's not all the time, but it's definitely still, I'm not quite used to it.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm not quite used to like a spotlight or anything. I've
Yeah.
never had to experience, signing someone's or taking a photo with someone. Like I've never, I'm always like, why do they want me to get the photo with them? It's
Mhm.
really weird to me.
Yeah.
And they're not
You're very
weird, but
humble.
yeah, it's just like it's new to me, and I don't know. It's sometimes like, whoa, like, you want an autograph with me? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and other times I'm just like surprised. I'm like, you sure? you know. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the coaches at the Ben Endurance gym ever or academy ever asked you to coach little kids? I mean, have
Yeah,
you
I
taken
mean,
that role yet?
I mean, sometimes if I'll get to practice early sometimes just because I want more training time, and um, some other practice will be going on where it's like a bunch of 5-year-olds or something or a bunch of 7-year-olds, and
Yeah.
I'll see one of them that looks super motivated in our route. Like a lot of them sometimes are just like, messing around, wrestling on the mat, stuff like that. But I'll see one kid that is like super psyched on climbing, and I'll go over and help him. Like I try to, even when I'm in the commercial gyms or whatever, I'll try to see if there's I like when young kids are super psyched on doing something.
Uh-huh.
That makes me wanna help them.
Yeah.
Because I know how I was when I was that age, I was, always, trying to climb. I never saw myself as, obviously it's okay, but, I was never one of those kids wrestling on the mats. I was always the one, on the wall. And, I see where that has, like, that motivation has brought me. And,
Sure.
whenever I see some kid like that where he's super psyched on climbing, I'll always try and go help him, talk to him a bit. And
Yeah.
I think it's super cool for, especially, when I was younger, I would see all these kids that were like, pretty good. And, sometimes they would come over and help me or, do something like that. And I was always like, whoa, like this guy's super cool,
Yeah.
or some like 18-year-old kid or whatever come over and help me. And, I thought that was super cool. So I definitely try to pass that on.
Oh, that's sweet.
I love helping people who are psyched on climbing and,
Hmm.
super um, invested in it. And, I try to talk to them, oh, are you on a team yet? Try to get them to go join a team or something if they're super excited with it. And yeah, so I mean, I definitely like, like kids and, like doing it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, given the experience and the perspective that you have now at 18, do you ever think about how you would have done things differently, like starting, you started so young, you
Yeah.
won your first national when you were 9.
Yeah.
What would you say to your 10-year-old self, your 12-year-old self, like with the experience you've gained? I know it's easier to say this now because
Yeah,
you've
for
gained
sure.
that perspective, but
I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot that I would really change. I think with when I was 14 or 15, I broke my fingers and I just wouldn't let myself heal. Like, I just kept climbing on them.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll tape them, they'll be fine. And, it took over a year and a half to heal.
Oh,
It only
wow.
took till um, February 2025 where I could finally take off my tape and climb without it, without pain. And I think that that's something I would tell my 15 or 14-year-old self, however old I was when I broke them. Or
How, what you were? I'm
I
sorry.
was 14 or 15 when I broke them.
Yeah.
Tell myself then, to stop climbing, just take the 2 months off. You're not super strong at 14. You're not lifting heavy. You're not having to keep up this like strength level at that age.
Yeah.
You haven't gone quite through puberty yet. I mean, it's like starting. So I think that um, being able to, especially when you're younger, you can definitely take off more time than I could take off now.
Sure.
So I think that just like taking that time off, letting the 3 months to heal, not competing at nationals this year and or that year, and then just training, I think I wouldn't have had a lot of the failures I did have after that injury.
Yeah.
I mean, those failures definitely helped me. Um, yeah, and then I think that, I mean, I've always been super motivated and always been training pretty hard. I don't think it's ever been a problem where I'm like, oh, you should be training harder here, here, here. I can't think of a moment where I'm not like really training. I don't really remember a time where I wasn't training.
Mhm.
So I think that, for the most part, I think I've done it the right way. I think a lot of the mistakes I've made have helped me shape into, what I am today. And I think that changing a lot of those mistakes would, I mean, I wouldn't be as good as I am today. So
Yeah.
I think if, I didn't, lose or get, I mean, I say lose, but if I didn't get 10th at nationals that one year, like my first year going to nationals, and I wouldn't have podium the next year or, you know, um, yeah, I think a lot of those have just motivated me, a lot of the bad results.
Mhm.
So I think changing them would make me a worse climber.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I really value like how you're able to see everything with such insight, like how you've been able to turn around apparently bad situations into something that really has taught you something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Natty, how would you say that climbing has, kind of enhanced your own health and wellness throughout these years?
I mean, definitely like, I'm pretty fit. That's helped a lot with, just being able to do normal stuff. Like if someone, you know, I mean, even like during the summers, I'm setting up a rope swing. All
Yeah.
my friends will be like, "Oh, climb that tree and go put up our rope swing or something."
Yeah.
And I think that, the overall like health benefits from climbing is, I mean, it's a super healthy. You're working almost every muscle in your body.
Yeah.
And I think, you become pretty strong, pretty agile doing all this stuff. So even like I noticed the other day, even like when I trip and I don't fall, I kind of always somehow catch myself or
Mhm.
not quite fall over or I know how to like roll correctly or do stuff like that. It's like these little things that you don't really notice, but I seem to get hurt a lot less than some of my friends that will like trip and fall or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely just like overall, the overall health benefits. Those are definitely huge for me. And, you know, I love being able to just go climb a retreats, go, you know, do all these things that otherwise maybe I wouldn't be able to do.
Sure. Yeah. Um, does nutrition play a big role in your life? Like, I mean, I'm just thinking about
Yeah, for sure.
you're training so much. You can't just not eat, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely bad with my nutrition.
You are?
Yeah, it's something I'm trying to work on. A lot during the school year, I have ADHD, so I was taking Adderall, which is a appetite suppressant.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the times I wouldn't be hungry for lunch or anything. I wouldn't eat lunch. So and then I'd go train, for 5 hours after that. And there's a point last year after, when I was training super hard that I was like passing out at sessions. So I was like, there's a point where it was getting bad. So I was like, okay, I have to stop this Adderall. So I stopped obviously for the summer because I don't need it because for school, I mainly use it just for school and stuff. And then
Yeah.
this year during school year, I was trying to take it just during like the big assignments and stuff. So I think it's been a lot better this year.
Okay.
Instead of using it, every school day, I'm using it, only on the ones that I really need it. So I think that that's been super helpful. And, it's still hard to eat lunch on, it's an appetite suppressant. So I'm not hungry. It feels like I almost like want to throw up after eating lunch. So a lot of the days I'll like try to eat after school or something. I'll always try to eat before climbing, but sometimes if I don't, I'll just have a big dinner after once it's worn off. Um, but I mean, during the summer, I've been, uh, since school got out or since finals ended up
Mhm.
eating, a lot more. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, especially during the summer, it's where I'll, um, focus. I mean, I try to focus. I try to have 3 meals a day during the school year, but it's pretty hard sometimes. So I think that that's definitely one of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
What I really need to work on is my nutrition. So I think that, it's not the end of the world if even if it's just like a burger for lunch, like,
Yeah.
not the healthiest thing, but, um, yeah, it's definitely like still gonna help me with my training. So yeah, and then when I do eat, I try to eat pretty healthy. I always have like chicken or steak or, something, some, I don't know, something with a lot of protein in it. And then, I'll try to stay away from, Doritos and, like the
Processed.
processed food.
Yeah.
I'll try to stay away from that as much as I can. So I am definitely eating pretty healthy. Especially when I'm like getting like really into season. Like right now, I had, like yesterday, for example, I went to Village Baker and I got a veggie sandwich. And then for lunch, I went to the farmer's market. Me and my friend, Kai, we just got a bunch of like, we got a baguette, we got some cheese, we got some berries, we got a bunch of, um, like meats and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Ate that for lunch in the park.
Yeah, nice.
And, yeah, for dinner last night, we made steaks and shrimp and tacos and made corn. Yes, I'm trying to eat pretty healthy,
Yeah.
3 meals a day, and especially when I'm training this much. My training,
You must have a big appetite.
yeah, yeah, especially in the summer when I'm out all day. I
Sure.
train in the morning for like some hours, and then go out to the river. The sun drains your energy, and
Yeah.
um, then you're gotta eat. So yeah, I
Yeah.
try to I try to stay pretty fueled.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And what role does recovery play in your training and in your life?
Yeah. So, um, definitely with my sleep, I try to in during the school year, I try to be in bed by 10.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm waking up at 7 in the morning to go to school, and then a lot of it's like, all day I'm using my brain, and I need to have rest for that. And
Yeah.
then after that, I undergo train for 5 hours. So I think especially during the school year, it's really important.
Mhm.
And then in the summer, where I have more flexible training times, I can either go train at night in the afternoon, whenever I don't have to go to school. I can go to training at 1 p.m. and I'll still, I won't have to deal with going to school so I can sleep in. So it definitely, my sleep schedule changes definitely a little bit in the summer. Right now, it's pretty good because I have nationals coming up. After nationals, it might get a little bit worse when I'm hanging out with friends a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, or I guess after Worlds in August, it will be. But yeah, I try to be in bed pretty early. When I know I have to climb.
Sure.
If I have a rest day, um, like if there's anything going on Saturday night, I'll have Sunday as one of my rest days.
Yeah.
So I'll try to it alternates between Sunday and Tuesday rest days. So um Saturday night if something's going on, sometimes I'll go out and hang out with friends.
Yeah.
Um and just train in the morning, and then I'm able to sleep in and still get my sleep. But I think yeah, sleep is definitely one of the most important parts of trainings because I mean you need your rest. You're not gonna have a very good session if you don't. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
For someone who's only 18, you have learned so much already about sleep, nutrition, recovery, stress management, the mental aspect, what you're talking about yesterday, earlier with meditation, visualization. It's been an incredible journey, not just the physical component that you've needed to, keep in check for
Yeah.
all the climbing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's obviously climbing has taught me a whole lot about pretty much every aspect of my life, and I've learned a lot about myself through it,
Yeah.
and kind of what I like to do when I'm training, how I like to prepare myself, and I think those are super useful skills for life, especially where I'm like, okay, I need to do this thing, this is how I'm going to prepare myself for that. So I think it's definitely translates to a lot of my day to day life. Um,
Yeah. I think you're set.
yeah, yeah, really excited for the future.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to follow your successes, Natty,
Yeah,
and read about how you're going to be doing over the next couple months.
yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Best of luck on nationals in 1 week
Yep, in 1 week.
and then Europe.
Then Europe,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
Italy. Yeah,
Amazing. Okay. Thank you very much, Natty.
thank you for having me.